To help us unpack the implications of the devastating airstrikes on Nasser Hospital and the rising calls for a ceasefire in Israel, we're joined by Murad Harfoush, a political analyst from Ramallah. Welcome, sir, to In Focus. Thank you for joining us. Mr. Harfoush, let's start off by asking, now, President Trump expressed displeasure over the Israeli strikes on Nasser Hospital that killed 20 people, including the journalists and medical staff. How significant is this statement coming from him, given that there was also contradictory statements previously that were very pro-Israeli?
The Israeli occupation targets journalists. They have been doing so over the past time period. Lots of them were martyred. We have lots of journalists who were martyred in Gaza. Also the medical staff, ambulance workers, they were targeted by the Israeli occupation forces. The statement issued by Donald Trump within the context of the Israeli airstrike and aggression against the Gaza Strip the statement by Trump doesn't amount to the monstrosity committed against the medical staff and the journalists who were martyred. This is not the first time that journalists are targeted and sniped by Israelis since they started their military operation against Gaza. They have been targeting journalists for some time now, and Trump's statement is like a shy reaction, as well as the international community's stance on the matter. Unfortunately, media workers have been targeted by the Israeli occupation forces intentionally, and the Israeli army is committing a genocide and an ethnic cleansing against the Palestinians in Gaza.
I mean, this kind of brings on the next point here. Now, as you said, it comes short to what the Palestinians in Gaza need to end this aggression. Now, Trump emphasized the need to end this, quote, nightmare, as he said, but also, in the same time, during the same statement, he reiterated Israel's military objectives in Gaza, including the fight for Gaza City, is important for, quote unquote, winning the war, I guess. How do you interpret these mixed signals coming in from President Trump?
This stance that he gave the Israeli occupation forces 2 or 3 weeks, and the Israeli cabinet, he gave them a deadline of 2 or 3 weeks. They will force migrate more than 1 million Palestinians from this city. They will be scattered throughout the Gaza Strip. Also, they have used the starvation weapon, the planned starvation. The Gaza City is imposed to planned starvation. The situation on the ground is devastating. So the United States and the other states, the international community, is liable to stop this genocide, which has been going for 23 months per now. We are exposed to genocide and ethnic cleansing. It has been documented in picture and in video. They have been killing innocent, harmless, unarmed people in Gaza. This war led to the destruction of 90% of the infrastructure in Gaza. And I think that giving the Israeli occupation forces a deadline to conclude the military operation.
Yes, this deadline has already been crossed several times. The Trump administration has given the Israelis deadlines several times. Now, you spoke a bit about accountability here. There have been calls for Israel to be held accountable, including arrest warrants from the International Criminal Court and genocide cases in the International Court of Justice. In your opinion, what is preventing the decisive international enforcement of international law, and how does Trump's stance influence global accountability efforts, given that, like you've said, we're seeing this live on TV, in sound and picture?
I think that what prevents the implementation of arrest warrants against Netanyahu and other Israeli officials who committed war crimes, as these arrest warrants were issued by courts like the ICJ, for example. They committed atrocities and war crimes. They were not arrested. You see that Netanyahu traveled out of Israel. He was not apprehended. Despite committing war crimes and monstrosities, the United States of America prevents the apprehension of Netanyahu. The United States is Israel is the protege of the United States. Also, the United States is the one preventing the European states to impose sanctions on Israel or to implement the arrest warrants against Netanyahu and other members of the cabinet.